right, Madam Chair, we're live and ready when you are.
Easy for me to say. I'd like to call the meeting of the Seldovia Planning Commission in order at 6 p.m. on October 4th. And if the clerk could do the roll call.
Commissioner Ryan. Here. Commissioner Sweet,
Here.
Commissioner Forsberg.
Here.
And Commissioner Kroll.
They're calling your name. You just have to say here.
Commissioner Kroll is here.
And then the next item is approval of the agenda, and I'd like to reorder the agenda so that the folks that are here just for so they don't have to wait. We will do I'm proposing to do action item 1 first, and then sorry, that's H, commission business, item 1, keep that, and then move item 3 to be the land use management plan to be number 3. Is there any feedback from the commissioners on the reordering of the agenda? And then if we can have a motion do I have to do a motion to approve the agenda? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll move to approve the agenda. With that change.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
And if the clerk could do a roll call?
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sweet,
Yes.
Commissioner Forsberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll. Yes.
And the next item on the agenda is public comments regarding items not on the agenda.
Did you do the approval of minutes first, Madam Chair?
I will. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Make a motion to approve minutes.
Can I have a second?
I second it.
Thank you. And if the clerk can take a roll?
For approval of minutes, Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sweet,
Yes.
Commissioner Forsberg,
Yes.
and Commissioner Kroll.
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
And then we'll go to the public comments regarding items not on the agenda.
Okay. Looks like we have no comments, Madam Chair.
Okay. And then public hearings, prior notice, I don't believe we have any of that.
No, that's correct. We have none, nor site plans.
All righty, so we'll go ahead and go to H, which is commission business action memorandum 24P02, appointing Chris Lathine as an additional member to the Seldovia Planning Commission Commercial Business District Subcommittee. I believe. What did you have?
I'll take it. Thank you, Madam Chair. So on page 7 of your packet, we have an action memorandum addressing appointing Chris Lathine to the Seldovia Planning Commission's Commercial Business District Subcommittee. And there's a summary statement in there, but this, as you know, you've voted to form the subcommittee on May 3rd of 2023. And we asked for letters of interest. And after the meetings were beginning, Mr. Lathine mentioned to one of the other committee members that he had submitted a letter of interest, of which we could not find one on record on mine or his end. And at the last subcommittee meeting, It was brought up in the meeting and Chair Sweet had said that she had no issue adding him to the subcommittee. So this is just an action memorandum confirming that appointment to the subcommittee. And I guess I'll turn it over to Chair Sweet if you have any other comments.
And then just to follow what we did before, we'll just have a motion to approve this action. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I could have a motion to approve Mr. Lathine's inclusion on the Commercial Business District Subcommittee.
Do you want to do any public comment on that or not?
Any public? Any? Okay,
I can make a motion to approve Chris Lathine to be on the subcommittee.
and can I have a second, please?
Second.
And then if the clerk could take the roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sweet,
Yes.
Commissioner Forsberg, and Commissioner Kroll.
Yes.
Okay, with that, the motion passes. Congratulations, Mr. Lathine.
And that takes us to the Cedar Street extension. And because I have a property in that area, I will abstain and Commissioner Ryan will take over this agenda item. Thank you,
Right.
Commissioner
The
Ryan.
first part is presentation by staff or commission.
Thank you, Chair Ryan and Commissioner Ryan. There is a memorandum in the packet on page 17. Summarizes the Cedar Street extension itself, which is between Willow Street and Lake Street and is not a platted right of way. Though it is utilized as a street or thoroughfare at this point. And has been for a very long time. Many discussions have been held on the status of the area, most recently in 2017, when a property owner approached the city with a proposal to subdivide and replat the area to include the extension as a city right of way. Discussions were held on the property, were held with the property owners, the city planning, and on the council level. A request for approvals, or sorry, a request for proposals to survey that area for the replat was issued, and the survey took place. At the time, there was 5 property owners and 4 were in support of the replat, 1 in opposition. And due to that circumstance, the property was this subdivision replat was not complete. Recently, the property of the individual opposing the replat has changed ownership, and there's been a renewed interest for that subdivision to occur, the replat with the street included as it exists and as a city right away. Due to the status of the area currently as private property, the city does not maintain the extension. The proposal, and Mr. Sandland here is in for questions and to provide any additional information, is that the city would trade a parcel of property that is located across the street from Mr. Sandland's property on the shoreline, on the shore of the Seldovia Slough. And for that, the portion of Cedar Street that's along his property would be able to be replatted and stay where it is. I did put in a little information and some suggestions of considerations if the commission wants to pursue this opportunity or explore it further. The Cedar Street extension has a survey from 2017 that's attached. It's approximately 14 feet wide and spans 102.49 feet just across. That's just the property the proposal in question. That's not the whole expansion of the street. So that property boundary of lot 1, block 24, the portion of the property owner's land proposed for the extension is approximately 827.93 square feet. The city parcel, as part of the proposal is lot 1, block 25. A portion of that parcel transferred to the city, the northern portion in 2013, due to there being an existing culvert from Susan Lake. So there are 2 pieces of infrastructure in that property in separate locations, one being the sewer line that you can see in the picture attached, sewer main, and then up north of that, there is a outfall from Susan Lake. Which does limit its ability to be able to be developed. And I've had that discussion with the proposer, Mr. Sandland, and he is aware that those pieces of infrastructure are in the property. The property is currently assessed at $53,900. I wrote as a conclusion to evaluate the proposal, consider the city infrastructure in the lot requested. If a trade was made, what precautions would be necessary to protect that infrastructure, easements, restricted development. The proposer has been informed of the infrastructure in the lot and limited development opportunities and has discussed having requested the lot to protect the view and to build a deck or a dock. What is the value of the trade financially and with consideration of community impact and the impact to the residents in the area? We did notify residents that were a part of this discussion previously that are still property owners, that this discussion was taking place tonight and they are here. You want to hear feedback from them, and are all the impacted property owners in support of the replat? Evaluate the consideration of minimum setbacks. That was another part of the proposal, is that with that street going in and the potential for development on that lot in the future, wanting to minimize the setbacks along that Cedar Street extension in order to be able to fully develop the property. And then consider the process and costs of the subdivision or plat. And I'm here for more questions. And as I said, we have Mr. Sandland and other property owners or impacted individuals in the audience for questions.
I have a question about the width. It seems kind of narrow. If anybody ever is parking on the street or anything, is there any other right of ways that are that width in the city? Is that a kind of a normal width?
Through the chair, yes, if you look behind you, like Lipke Lane, I think is 15 feet. There are a few others we have listed in code that are of smaller size. It's not ideal and it is substandard. But that was part of the initial discussion in 2017, and I think even prior, is just to let the road lie the way it is.
For that road, right now it is a private road.
It's technically private property.
It's private property. And it only affects one person? It only, does it affect the other people that live on that road or what?
Yeah, so there's 5 property owners that are along that road front or the extension.
So are you trading for them to have a piece somewhere else too, or what?
In the 2017 proposal, the replat was split between, the cost of the replat was split between 3 of the property owners and the city.
Mhm.
And the city was proposing to trade a portion of Willow Street where the property jets into Willow Street, and then Willow Street's actually more over on city property across from it, and for the portion of the extension that's through that property. The proposal for the additional parcel is a new proposal to consider.
Oh,
And then, of course, that evaluation, you know, the costs, that'll be something that has to be worked out if that's something the commission wants to pursue.
right.
I think it's fine. We hear from the public, I guess. Seems like we would like to get all the facts out on the table.
I just want to be upfront about the situation, the situation is that. The city needs that street to plow snow through the winter time to make it all accessible to everyone, including the people that drive. On that street from other ways, it's like an old pass through, and it should be a street relatively.
Right.
And that would save it from being a cul-de-sac, and then there is one over that's completely landlocked. If I. But I'm not that kind of person who wants to jar up the community with a bad idea. And it's what my problem is what I want to do is it takes away my building envelope when I develop my lot, because that's based on the square footage of your lot, so I'm giving up a part of a building envelope equation, and what I wanted to do was improve the city as far as that lot there. It's incorrectly proportionally written up to access the slough. So it's not as much land as it really is, because they have to take a diagonal cut down to the. If you want to maintain the sewer line, you have to go down Willow Street. It goes into the slough. So it's not as much land as it looks like. And then the other neighbors will be able to have a plow, and I'm liable for anything that happens on that land. So, realistically, it's a bad situation for me. It's all that, the other neighbors are driving it every day. You should get it,
Which lot is yours? Yeah, which lot is yours? Oh. Yeah, okay, it's A1. What about the other lots? That it doesn't affect their. I mean. I'm just curious that. They're gonna have to give up their 14 feet too, right?
Correct, so that's why you would want all the property owners on board before moving forward with any sort of proposal.
Right, but to be fair, everybody should be getting a little extra chunk somewhere, whatever, right? Or confiscated for it.
I mean, and when we've seen this happen historically in the past or in other community areas, the property owners themselves would do it. We had an instance where this happened over on Rocky Street, and it was vacated. We've had, I'm trying to think if there was an instance where there was a road that was platted, or Bay Street itself, the city did receive public use easements to be able to utilize a portion of Bay Street. A lot of roads inside city limits are unfortunately not where they are platted, and are a little off. So if you're asking if the city has a responsibility to provide, technically we do not. We don't have a legal responsibility to provide this access or to trade for anything for it, but in previous discussions and in discussions with the property owners, and the city council did agree to spend to pay for half of that survey. I think in the interest that the road means more than just what it is to the property owners. It means a lot to the property owners, but I believe. I'd like to hear from them on what they have to say about that, but it also means a lot to the community because as Mr. Sandlin said, it's been utilized for a very long time.
And all the other property owners are on board with this?
That's a good question.
That's what you want to find out.
Right here.
Oh, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how this thing goes. I guess it's open to the public now. Yes, I do have something to say about this. I am one of the property owners. I own lot 2 and lot 3. And I will say that if you come down that section of Cedar Street and you turn the corner, all of your car will be on my property. At the base of lot 1. And the people across the street from me and myself, we own all of the street down to Mr. Sandlin's lot line. And Mr. Sandlin owns pretty much all of the road beyond that. There is a portion that belongs to the lot owners across the street. It kind of, we've looked at it quite a bit. The road itself is kind of a wedge, but the lot owners across the street from me own portions of the road. Lot 11, 10, 9, and 8. And by the time the road gets down to lot 8, there's just a bit of a sliver of the road that is on his land. But across the street from me in lot 10, and there's differing surveys, but basically each of us own about half of the road. This has been an ongoing discussion, as Heidi mentioned, and she's been on top of it all the way when she was a city clerk. That what was proposed with the previous owner of lot 1 was if you turn to the back on page 20, was that if you look at Willow Street, that there are some dotted lines. That's where Willow Street is supposed to be. And part of Willow Street. Oh, wait a minute, that's
Not where it is.
that's where.
It is.
Not where it currently is.
Let's see, that's, okay, that's where Willow Street currently is. But that portion of Willow Street, kind of hard to describe, adjacent to lot 1 is effectively being used by Mr. Sandlin, or the property owner of lot 1. And what we had thought before was that the city would put the Willow Street where it was supposed to be, and in return, what was coach? Yeah.
Yeah, the Willow Street, definitely. I think what Walt's trying to say is that Willow Street, the dotted line is where it actually is, where the gravel is right now. So when you're driving on Willow Street, that's where you drive. So in essence, what Walt is saying is that Mr. Sandlin actually is enjoying part of the actual platted Willow Street, which is the solid lines, which says Willow Street 15 wide. You can see that. I mean, the road doesn't even, it's not existing in its platted location. And as a result, right now, Mr. Sandlin has use of pretty much all of Willow Street at the far west side there. I think you were saying that that was part of the discussion at one time, that would be, it would be replatted where it is now, because that's a city lot that it's encroaching on the opposite side. Lot 6A is a city lot. And so the city has flexibility to say, let's make the road where it currently is on the gravel and give Mr. Sandlin that room, that extra room, which he has already, kind of in essence, in exchange for that. I think it would be super helpful, and I apologize, I did not bring it, but I know we had other maps showing the current road where it is, like this one, all the way down the extension. So it would show where, who has what currently, and I didn't see it attached here. I should have thought of that, but
yeah. I apologize for that. What I have is the one that's above it. Page 19, but that doesn't show Willow, so.
right, that's the survey, but it doesn't show what is currently there. And it's really helpful because we all live with what is currently there. So I don't know if that explained for you well. Do you want to?
Yeah, well, what was proposed years ago with the previous owner was that we would all give up our land. In order to do all of this stuff, all these pieces of property on both sides of the street have to be surveyed at one time by the same surveyor, so that all the marks agree. And some of us had agreed to pay survey costs or portions of survey costs. And there were two people that didn't agree to pay the survey costs and give up land. Three of us, I think the way that it went was that we would be willing to pay the survey costs. If we gave up the land, maybe the city would pay half of the survey costs. Is that the way we kind of got it? And I mean, this was actually giving up a lot for us, but I think all of us who bought land there realized that that road was in place, that it was sort of a fait accompli, if you will, and to renege on the land on the part of any of us would stop the street. And that was the way that I looked at it, was that I bought the land, the street was there, and okay, I'm good with that. But it took all of us to agree on that, to make it a formal road. In the city, had liability issues, and I don't know, it just got put on the table. I don't know, and one person's lingo is just a country road, that it's not maintained, it's just a road. And that's part of the issue, is that the city stopped maintaining it. And several of us have shipped money in to have it plowed and graded over the years. And it's to our benefit, I guess, but it's also for the public, benefit for the public, because there's quite a bit of traffic on that road.
Well, I'd like to speak because unfortunately we're not. Well, I would like to speak because unfortunately I'm not the old owner. I'm the new owner. And I don't enjoy Willow Street. It's a little sliver of land that I don't ever plan on using. Walt has basically a parallel line to the slough. He could get all the land that's parallel. I don't need the slough property. Okay, but I know that you guys need the road. Unfortunately, that is the reason I'm here, is the road is my land that I'm responsible for. And I don't want to get into a squabble, but I want to develop my land in the format that I want to. And if I'm going to give up a building envelope, I want to have, an access point here. I don't need this whole corner. I don't want the cul-de-sac liability. There's pollutants or whatever it is. I don't want any of that liability for the slough property. The city can't build on it, so it's really no value. It's just giving you guys what you want in return for a portion of what I want. And then I think the public could use that land, as that there's nothing that would stop someone to use the to be able to walk and have a viewing, like a place to look at the water, instead of standing on the bridge. So there's really you can't build on it. It's just part of your building envelope, but it's not usable land. And Willow Street seems to be well into my land. I mean, there's just like 4 or 5 feet to the sign. And so the real equation is to give the city the access through the back of the property. Then the person that's landlocked here has an access to their property, or how do they get to their land? Or maybe you guys could proportion to give up the front of all your property and have the street there. I mean, I'm not that doesn't bother me if you want to make the frontage of your property the access to the road, but I'm just trying to get that road through before I have to do a survey and a structure that I want. I'm not here to have a problem. I'm trying to make a solution. So if you see, Willow Street is a very similar proportion. And I think Jack Barber is the one that would be entitled to that property because he's adjacent to it. So I just think if the snowplow could go through there, you wouldn't have a cul-de-sac. And if you didn't have a road through there, then you would have to have a cul-de-sac. And then everybody would have to drive down Shoreline Drive. So
I think it'd be maybe it would help if you knew the size of this piece of land you're gaining. If Willow Street got put in its right location, might offset the exact amount of land that you'd be giving up if Cedar Street is developed as proposed. And when you say that city land would, if it's under your possession, would be open to the public, you're taking on liability there. So that kind of surprises me. And and I also read in the proposal memo that your use of that land is more to preserve your view, which it will be preserved if it's city land.
it doesn't affect me either way.
Right.
You guys can't build on it. I don't want to build on it. It can't be built on. So it doesn't
Also
matter.
a snow dump, so a dock might not really.
No, I didn't mean a dock. I meant just the road is narrow. People walk, the town has turned into a destination resort. It's not a fishing community anymore. So people walk Shoreline Drive. They have the little boardwalk to go down, and then you drive their carts. And I'm just saying, I'm open to do whatever it is to promote some kind of a viewing deck, like the Potter Marsh or whatever. And Walt can have this whole section of frontage. For him, it doesn't do me any good to have that whole piece. So if you look at the way the land is, it's basically Walt and I have 2 squares to the water. And his previous don't know if the previous agreement was, but it has nothing to do with my.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Sort of like lot 9A. Did they have no easement rights to get to their property?
Through the chair, you can see on the survey that there is a 20-foot ingress egress easement for lot 10A. Lot 9A has the same property owner. But I don't see that it specifies that in the easement. I would have to look back at that paperwork.
It's the same owner, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it could just be one lot, it would be the smart thing, I think, to make it one lot, but it doesn't. I'm just trying to get a solution here.
Yes, go ahead.
This is Jenny, and my in-laws have lot 9A and lot 10A. And lot 10A, they have access across that easement that's marked there. Lot 9A, because they're owned by the same people, they're not worried about that at this particular juncture. Lot 8A does have an easement over Mr. Sandlin's property. So he has access regardless. I guess, like I said, I think it would be helpful for you as a commission to see what currently exists in as a proposal next to what is proposed here. Because it is hard to see what we're talking about when it's not compared to what actually is what we're living. And I think one of the things that my in-laws have had issue with is that this Cedar Street extension, like Mr. Sandlin said, is not just for the people who live here at all. People are driving it every day, all day long, back and forth, back and forth. And it really does impact the whole community because Ketchimek Street is very narrow and is kind of a one-way street. So if we took that Cedar Street and decided, you know what, we're going to close it off and everyone's going to own their own property and too bad for the rest of the community, I don't think that would serve the community. And yet at the same time, when the city stopped plowing and stopped maintaining it, it became a real issue. And the landowners in this area, work together, like Walt said, and to spend good money to have it graded by Hopkins and have material brought in. And meanwhile, the whole community is using that road, putting in more potholes, working their way. I mean, it's not like it's just for personal use, right? So everything you do has to be redone and repaid for. And I mean, that's a city expense if it was a city road, but because it's not, that's falling on the landowners. And the reality is, my in-laws are older, and even just to walk out on the street in the massive potholes. I mean, my husband wants it to be safe for them and for everyone on that street, but it's also not his responsibility to keep a whole street open for the community. So it's a tough issue, and I appreciate that Mr. Sandlin is here and wanting to work with everyone to find a solution, because we did kind of have a stumbler last time. We had, the previous owner wasn't on the same page. And so my hope is that we can come to a really great conclusion that meets everyone's needs. And I don't think we're far away from that, but I do think it would be helpful to have what exists next to what is proposed. Thank you.
Are you opposed?
I would like to see what exists. I don't know anything, Mr. Sandlin, about lot 1 and the value thereof, and I'm not really sure what you're looking for on lot 1. How that benefits you. You have the biggest lot in this little subdivision here. You have a very nice sized lot. I'm not sure what you need it for, and it's really none of my business. Everyone can use it for what they want. So
Are you opposed to having the road?
Oh, no, I don't think, but it's not my property either. It's my in-laws' property. So I don't mean to speak for them. And so I can't really commit for them, but I know that they would like to see that worked out. Yeah, we are workable.
So this is Randy Sweet, and I'm speaking as an individual person, as a property owner in this development. One of the things that Steve, that I wanted to let you know is when we were working this out, the city told us at the time that we all had to agree to everything and then they would do it. And so that's why your agreement with the city is part of a solution to the whole thing. And so, like, I personally don't have any objection. I think we need to know what we're talking about so that we're clear, this is the way it is. And I think what we had tried to do before was to survey it and put everything where it actually is, because just to keep it simple. And so I think that would be helpful to say, okay, what are the elements of creating this so it's successful for everybody? And so we want the road to work, for everyone and plat it where it is. And then we would give up, our related pieces of property to allow for that road to be where it is. And then, your proposal is sort of in addition to the things that have been talked about. So I think we just have to be clear about what we're doing so that we all know what that is. And then we can agree to, it. Or if we have a question or we'd like to have something adjusted, then we can do that. But I think that's kind of where I'm at just as an individual.
Well, I think it's a great idea to have this. To have a road be maintained by the city. It sounds like people are giving up land in order to get a road that's maintained. In addition, Mr. Sandlin wants to get some property to give up his right of way, which is treating one person differently than the other property owners. I think what Roger was trying to point out, that everybody's giving up land to gain a road that's maintained by the city. And that's kind of the terms that was come up with in the past. So this trading of property is a new twist that either should be applied equally or not applied, I guess. That's my feelings anyhow.
And everybody's gonna have to agree with it, right? I mean, all the property owners, they're gonna have to agree with whatever they decide.
I can just legally stop the road. But I don't want to do that. That's what the people have done. You guys have fought before with these other owners around here. And so, I'm not trying to, the land is, I don't need the whole parcel, but it's almost an equal space. Walt can get equal space too. There's plenty of that lot one available. And it's, like I said, it's not developable. All it is taxable. So it's cost me to pay the tax on it. Right. And so giving up the road gives up what my proposal is, of which is my building envelope. I'm a developer in Arizona that I want to develop this property into something nice for the community, and to give up that building envelope is a big deal for me. And that's why I'm here, to try to get the road for the city, a smaller access, make it so the plow can go through perfectly, and then I can do my proposed plan on the property. The house was built for a tear down. It's completely, and that's what I do for, and I want to do that in Seldovia to enhance the value of the whole area. And then we're not asking for much. I mean, I don't really need that whole piece. I can just take the frontage from here and the whole corner can be the other people's. I can share that. If you look at the way the lot is, if you take a straight line, there's plenty of this lot in that corner. And it's just something to beautify like the Shoreline Drive experience. That's all I wanted to do.
Does the adding on another lot increase your developable envelope?
No, you can't. I can't build on that lot on the water ever.
Right, but
But to give up that section of the road makes my building up on my existing lot smaller.
right,
And
okay.
that's an important
You have another
equation for me.
comment from Heidi?
Sorry, through the chair, if you don't mind. Another thought that came to mind that I'd mentioned to Mr. Sandland that wasn't explored last time. The replat and the survey was what was primarily explored. But there is a precedent in this community, such as Bay Street, where the property owners actually grant a public use easement. And then that property is still retained by those individuals. And I believe that setbacks, according to the code, the way it's written now, I mean, the setback would be the road, the property, even though there's a public use easement there, because the setback's off of the property boundary, not off of the easement. I'd have to double check that. But if that's the case, the property would still be able to be retained by those property owners. And the setbacks would potentially be a non-issue because they'd be using the setback off of their property boundary as long as they weren't blocking or encroaching on the easement itself. And then with a public use easement, just like the city does for Bay Street, the city would be able to maintain it as a public access point. So that is another option if property owners are not in support of doing a full replat. And that's a question or an opposition to lose that portion of the property. You would still retain it as your building print, as your building envelope, as Mr. Sandland would say. And I would respond to Chair Sweet that through the code, no, property across the street would be its own property, so it would not impact how much could be built on with their property. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. This issue is not up for decision, I don't think, tonight, right? Okay. We are just trying to get all the facts, and maybe we need a better map that shows existing versus platted, so that we can have accurate amounts of land getting switched over. But it might become public easement, which sounds like maybe that's a good solution. If it allows plowing and maintenance.
Again, if the property owners are in support.
But then you're continuing to pay taxes on that part. If you give it up, then you lose that part of the money that you have to spend.
But I think the question for Mr. Sandlin is you're still losing that, you can't build on an easement, so you're still losing that buildable space. So I don't know if that.
There is no easement
Well-
on private property.
Right, but I'm saying if there was an easement, if that was an easement as she proposed, then you'd still not have what you're looking for. So I don't know if that would meet what he's needing. Is that right? Or am I misunderstanding?
It would still be part of the lot coverage. So if you have a lot restriction on how much you can build, and I'm not sure if that's in that district or not, but some districts have a lot coverage.
Right, a
requirement,
percentage. Mhm.
It would still count as part of the lot coverage. So-
Okay, so I mean, that lot coverage is usually very sufficient. I don't know, anyway. I don't know. I don't know what his plans are. We don't know. Yeah, so it doesn't really matter. I'm just saying,
Improve what's there.
right. And I think that that's good.
Yeah, this is Walt.
It's also, I'm sorry.
I have if I may, a question for Steve. So if you got ownership of lot 1, which is directly across the street, what would your intention be? Because lot 1 and lot 2C, I believe, belong to the public. And there's nothing that can be built on those. Granted that they're full of alders. But that doesn't now restrict your view, and that was one of your reasons why you wanted that lot.
No one, I've never mentioned wanting it for the view. That wasn't me.
Oh, I misread that.
Someone
Sorry.
else.
What's your purpose in wanting to get lot 1?
To trade and to have the ability to keep it in a natural look. Just do a landscape. And I actually don't want all of it. You want half of it? You could take the whole other part of it. I don't, where you come through. I mean, you're the one who has lost most of the road. But I'm just saying it's not, as I want the whole thing to do something with it. It's a sewer main. And the gentleman across the street, I just know what's at risk. I just want the city to flow, and this winter it'd be nice to have this decision made so the city could maintain that road.
Yeah, I agree, but
And I'm not gonna be here all winter, so.
it just seems like what you want from a lot is already there. Nobody's building there.
I want to pay taxes on it and have it where I can access it, I guess.
Well, there's an access right there that's open to the public.
That's the proposal I want to do, and it doesn't affect. It doesn't affect me not to have it. You understand? I don't need it. It's not gonna, like you said, I'm not gonna change anything. It doesn't matter. So my proposal is, if I'm giving up that section of land, I'd like that section of land in return. That's what I'm just trying to get at.
I think we've heard, you needed.
I guess I just have a comment about just about land, because it's a city lot. And I don't know what the procedures are, or I don't know if P and Z can decide whether to trade a lot or whether that's an issue to go before council anyway. I mean, or out to bid. I mean, I don't know what those requirements are for releasing a piece of land for the city. I think that's not our decision.
Thank you. Through the chair, I think it's just a matter of whether the commission wants to consider this proposal and move forward with exploring what that means. But I can bring back that information and the map, like you said, at the next meeting, if that's the desire of the commission, is to continue the conversation with more information.
Yep, I'd like to see that, especially with looking at that Willow Street right away. It sounds like there may be some even Steven there as far as switching things back and forth.
I'm fine with that decision.
I guess, are we done just with the discussion of this item?
So this is Randy. So basically this is going to move to the next meeting, and we're just going to get more information for a continued discussion. Is that what's good?
Yes, I think that's what we agreed to have the additional map that shows all the lot lines and this lot to be exchanged, potential exchange, and then this other idea that you brought up, Heidi, I think to see if that would preserve the building envelope size and still allow a right of way.
And just to clarify, that's the public easement.
Easement versus a right of way. Okay, that's it. So it still retains ownership by individual property owners, but it is able to be maintained by the city. Okay. Sound good?
Like, once again, as long as everybody agrees, the property owners, that's the key thing. Everybody's got to agree on it, so.
Right?
And so the agreement is, I'm in a, just it's just like a kind of a liability issue. But nothing's happened so far. Real world, same things do happen. Your business,
Well, the easement thing that was brought forward, that's been talked about, but Heidi just kind of described it. It seems like if we all got together and agreed on a formal easement, that would lift all of the liability stuff from our shoulders. And the road would stay right where it is. Steve, you wouldn't lose any property. And the road would be maintained by the city. And personally, I don't understand why you want lot one, because it's just as it is. It's nobody's going to build there. That I don't want part of lot one or lot two next to it across the street. Because I'm pretty happy that the city owns those lots, that I know that nobody's going to build anything there going forward. So I'm pretty happy that the city owns those lots.
I just have one question for Steve. Does the easement idea satisfy you as far as giving you what you need, percentage of buildable space, things like that? Is that kind of meeting your need, or does that not do it for you? Is that lot not a great option for you? I'm just curious.
I didn't understand what the building easement question was.
Well, the road easement, if it was just as Heidi explained, the road easement would be an easement given by the property owners. You'd still own your land, but give a public easement. It would be maintained by the city, and it would preserve your quote unquote square footage in regards to your buildable space. And what Heidi was talking about is every zone has percentage of buildable space that you can use. So if you have 100 square feet and you can only use 50% of your property, then you can only develop 50 square feet. So I guess that is I wonder if that's solving your concerns. And
I'm aware of that. And then,
right.
then you also have the road plus the easement from the road edge, which is another 6 feet. So if you got a 14-foot road, that's 20 feet.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm asking though. Is that solving the problem or not a good solution for you?
It's if we can eliminate the easement on the road and but no, I'd rather do the land swap, to tell you the truth. But I would like to, like you say, revisit this Willow Street easement and this land to me does not have, it doesn't matter if the city owns it or I own it, because it's never going to be developed. So what is the difference if I own it or the city owns it? I don't understand why you're opposed to me owning it, or you owning it, or us owning it.
That lot last winter, I think that was the place where they were pushing snow on. So if somebody owns it, privately, I reckon. But I won't want any stone pushed on it anymore, right?
No, that doesn't matter to me. I want the city to flow. I'm trying to be proactive in this community. I've been here 40 years and I want to have it growth. I want to see my son's future here. So, we're not. I think that's a beautiful setting right there, but it doesn't do anybody else any value that's not in front of it.
Right.
We
Well,
have to pay
thanks. I think-
taxes on
I
it.
think
That's-
we've all heard what your concerns are.
I like to pay the taxes for the city. As well.
That never happened.
That's what the city growth is, tax.
All right, well, thanks for all this information sharing, and we'll continue this at the next meeting. Guess, unless all you private property owners want to get together and like come up with what it is, if you could get that figured out, it would make things easier at the next meeting.
Well, I'm willing to negotiate with the city on this and see where we end up.
Yeah, it's gotta be with all the landowners, sounds like. Okay, so next agenda item is the land use management plan.
Thank you, Commissioner Ryan. And at the previous meeting, although you weren't in attendance, I'm hoping you've had a chance to review. We drafted some changes which are in your packet. For staff recommendations for updates to the land use management plan. And we're bringing it back before the commission just to see if there's any more discussion or recommended changes before it moves on from here to be reviewed by council.
I'm wondering why you want to add minimum 5-acre parcel for the sewage lagoon, because it's already in there. Okay. It's redundant. Okay.
Disregard, I think that was a note to put it in there and then it was put in there. So
Ah,
please disregard.
okay. Good.
So this is, Randy, so you're back as the chair and so Liz, did you have, oh, sorry. This is Randy Sweet. I'm back as the chair. Liz, did you have did you want to say anything additional or shall we just move to any comments from the commissioners?
The only thing additional is that we did update at the previous council meeting, the snow removal policy, which includes an updated map. And that was one of the pieces that we wanted to update in the plan. But I don't have anything additional from the last meeting. The manager Gagel does.
Do any of the commissioners have any additional feedback on the land use management plan beyond what's in the memo from the city?
I had one question looking at the map.
Mhm.
All the roads are color coded, but I think the gray one is state maintained, and I was thinking that should be added to the legend.
Thank you. We'll make sure to make that happen.
And then there's one more thing. It's probably just the mapping program, but it's got this line of the Seldovia slough that in the middle of high ground and stuff. This blue line. It's probably the way the map layers are somehow not overlaid correctly.
Are you referring to the end of Anderson Way?
Yeah, there's that blue line, looks like a creek running through, but it's, yeah. It's just. One of those.
We don't, so this is a Kenai Peninsula Borough map. We don't have mapping technology, but that is something that we're working on at the city office.
No, I thought, there's no creek there. Yeah, but I've worked with GIS and stuff, maps, and sometimes the shorelines get skewed from where, kind of like what you're saying with the road right of ways and stuff, they don't line up.
Any other comments from the commissioners? So we're just, the reason for this discussion is just like an annual kind of cycle of reviewing the plan and making sure that we're keeping up with what needs to be done and if there's additional things that should be included, so.
Yeah, and any additional goals or considerations that, or if there's any, if you delve into the different city properties and their uses. It's just a good document to address how the city is using its property and what their intentions and considerations and goals are for each property that the city owns.
So kind of following along with that, I guess that's on page 12. Is the future goals and considerations. So those are the things that are kind of top of mind right now. And those are just things that have, I guess, come through the city and discussions in varying places. And so this is just trying to capture the things that are coming up in our community.
If commissioners have comments or want to read through it even more, can submit comments in writing. This can come up again, but it's just a kind of an annual review to see how we're doing.
I heard it.
So is there, so we've kind of had the review. Is there any need to take any action on this, or is this basically just kind of? Yes.
So after public comment, if the commission wants and this looks good, then you could refer it to the council to approve by
Okay.
resolution.
So, so then can we open it up to public comment if anyone has any comments? And any further comments from the commission? So can I have a motion to I don't know if this is really an approve, is it an approval motion or is it just
To refer it back to the council.
so it's just a motion for a referral to the city council?
Yeah, with your recommendations as noted.
So if I can have a motion to refer it to the city council with the noted updates.
You're talking about
The land, I'm sorry, the land use. So we just looked at the land use management plan
Right.
updates. And
Okay.
so those have been suggested and discussed. And so now it's ready for it to be referred to the city council for their review. So if I could have a motion in concurrence of that.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. And a second.
Second that.
Thank you. And if the clerk could take the roll.
Commissioner Ryan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sweet,
Yes.
Commissioner Forsberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Kroll.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. 4-0, the motion passes.
And then the next item is item I, staff reports.
Here, I'll take that one. So for building permits, we now have 2 pending. One is just the SVT tribe dock is being finished up, and then one from latitude adjustments from Dawn for a temporary structure, or it's for an added structure on the property. And I think we're coming to the end of building permit season, so those are the 2 that are kind of left right now. And does anybody have any questions about those?
Yeah, what is latitude adjustments?
That is Dawn Bodyfield's name of her company.
I tried Googling it and it's all sorts of latitude adjustments that come up, but
Yeah, and that's just I think a canopy over the Connex that's next to her central suites. And then the SVT dock permit is ready for a commissioner review after tonight's meeting. Okay. Any more questions on that? Did you want me to move on to the commercial business subcommittee?
Yes, please.
So we've had 2 meetings for the commercial business district subcommittee on September 20th and September 27th. And previously in this commission, we added Mr. Chris Levine to the committee. And we've done an overview of, I guess, of the comprehensive plan. And I think at the next meeting, we're going to start to look towards future considerations. And that next meeting is scheduled for October 10th. And the following meeting in October will be for October 25th. Those are Wednesdays at 6 p.m. And I don't know if Chair Sweet or Commissioner Ryan want to add anything to that.
it's a pretty large group. That's a challenge, and it's good because you're getting a lot of different opinions, but it's kind of hard to move through the process, I guess, but we just started, so.
And I guess I would add, in this, the last meeting, we were looking at what is it that we want for Seldovia, for the commercial business district. And some of the things that we learned was that some of the issues that we're dealing with today, were being dealt with in the 60s in terms of the commercial business district. And then kind of along the lines of the ideas, there was some discussion about, you know, what kinds of things could be done to help revitalize or help support the commercial business district. And so a lot of, I'd characterize it as brainstorming. So looking at potentially expanding into the shoulder season, and what would that take so that it might expand our season, and maybe the fast ferry could have a longer season. That kind of begat a conversation about, well, it's the events that kind of draw people to come into the community. And there was some also discussion about having a someone from the Chamber of Commerce come and talk. There was discussion about incentives for businesses, because there's been discussion about the businesses that are here are economically challenged because of all the things that have happened over the last few years. And so year-round businesses, you know, may not be viable. The summer season is where people make their bank and are able to focus on that for their businesses. So just And then it's a workforce housing was something that came up that some businesses were struggling with having a place for people to live for the people that were working during the summer. So those are just some of the, that's not all inclusive, but just to give you an idea of what the conversation is.
And then for the planning webpage, I've been working on putting a webpage together to put all of the building permits online, and hopefully that will be ready by the end of next week, I'm hoping. So I don't know how far back we're gonna go, but it's a bit of a process to scan all that in going back, but going forward, we're gonna try to have those available and online. And then I guess for number 4, do you take that one? The SNA Market Demolition Project?
Sure, yes, just because that question came up previously. They were scheduled, the crew that was going to work on the demolition of the SNA Market was scheduled to be here Thursday, but the ferry was canceled. So coming in Sunday, I'll be meeting with them about some fencing that they proposed to go up. But they are working ahead. They did discuss some of the needs that they have for the I cannot say that word.
Asbestos containing materials.
It's not coming out. Is water. So whether there's an applicable source of water there and water pressure or utilizing a nearby fire hydrant, but they've been in pretty frequent communication with the city, and we'll continue to work with them to hopefully make this a sound and overall a safe project for the community.
Yeah, I just had a question in regards to the barge that's out there in front of the building. Is that for transporting the material away, or is that for the dock build?
Thank you to the chair. That is for the dock.
So all the material that's going to come out of the SNA building, what's the plan, or do you know how that's going to go away?
I know that some of the material is going to be moved and stored that's viable, or they're going to look at for future opportunities. I'm not sure how they're removing the I can't say it today. I've said
Asbestos.
but they are, they are following laws and regulations to make sure that that's done right.
Thank you for letting us know. We really appreciate that. And was there anything else? And the next item is informational items not requiring actions.
We don't have any of those at this time.
Any comments from the public? And comments from the commission? And then the next regular scheduled meeting will be November 1st, 2023.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Oh, I will make a motion to adjourn.
In a second.
Second.
And we don't have to vote on this, right? Okay, we are adjourned at 7:20 p.m. on October 4th. Thank you.